हाय देयर गाइस, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल बैड शैडो। और आज मैं फिर से खेलने जा रहा हूँ गेंशिन इम्पैक्ट। तो पिछले बार हम आए थे इनाजुमा में, फिर यहाँ पे कुछ कमीशन का चक्कर था। कमिश्नर लोग हमें यहाँ से इनाजुमा से बाहर नहीं जाने दे रहे थे, तो हमने कुछ तिगड़म बत्ती लगाकर वहाँ से बाहर निकल आए। अब उसके बाद हमें जाना था कमोडिटी हाउस नाम के एक जगह पर, जहाँ पे हमें थोमा ने बुलाया था। तो आज हम जाएंगे वहाँ पे, लेकिन उससे पहले तुम ये सीन देख रहे हो इनाजुमा में। वाह, बैकग्राउंड देखो यार, कितना प्यारा लग रहा है यहाँ पे। ये देख रहे हो, ये पहाड़। हम पिछले बार यहीं से आप भाग के आए थे, हमारा पोर्ट था। और ये देखो भाई, ये पहाड़ देख रहे हो तुम, इतना प्यारा सीन भाई। और हमें जाना है इस तरफ, वो आगे में तुम्हें दिख रहा है कार्सल, वो आगे में वहाँ ही जाना है। हाँ, हमें वही जाना है। ओ यार, ये देखो कितना प्यारा दिख रहा है। यहाँ पे हम जा रहे हैं जहाँ, देखो ये जगह तो देखो। ये साकुरा के पेड़ तो और तबाही दिखे यार। कुछ भी बोले भैया, इन्होंने ये मैप ना सबसे बेस्ट है, पता है, ये तीनों मैप में से सबसे बेस्ट मैप है अभी तक का। तो ये लेते कैसा है, मुझे चाहिए। ऐसे मारना पड़ता। अच्छा, ये देख लो, ये जगह देखो यार, कितना प्यारा भाई। कलर्स देखो इस जगह के यार, सही में। ओ कुछ भी बोलो यार, इन्होंने ये ना गेम का ये मैप ना भाई बहुत ही अच्छा बनाया है, सही में यार। देख रहे हो ऐसा जगह भाई रहने में भाई कितना मजा आएगा, सोचो देख लो यार, सही में। तो हमें इधर ही कहीं जाना था, यही जाना है सब तक हमें। अच्छा, यही आना था।
According to the letter, this should be the place.
तो हम
Sorry,
पहुंच
we
चुके
don't serve the
हैं
general
कम्युनिटी हाउस
public.
में।
I'm afraid you'll have to leave.
हमें इनविटेशन मिला है
We're
वैसे,
not the general public.
हमें इनविटेशन मिला है।
Well then, you must be a couple of wandering outlanders that snuck into the nation, judging by your attire.
Are our clothes really so?
सबको पता चल जाता है, वैसा हमारे क्लोजेस तो ऐसा ही है।
To say is,
Here's our invitation letter।
The Yashiro Commission's seal. This must be from Mr. Toma. It seems there's more to you than meets the eye. In which case, welcome to the Komore Tea House, a safe haven for the Yashiro Commission.
well, that sounds more like it.
इज्जत मिल गया है ना पाइमोन। पहुंच गए अंदर हम।
Well, now that we're here, where's Toma?
कहाँ है भाई थॉमा, निकल
Toma
बाहर।
doesn't see him anywhere.
ओ
Forgot
डॉगी,
his promise to meet us.
ओ कितना
Who
प्यारा
forgot
है।
their promise? I was beginning to think you'd
ये
forgotten
बात
about
करता
me.
है। हेलो,
What?
बात कर रहा है।
Is that dog talking to us?
Relax. No need to look so surprised. I take it this is the first time you've seen me in this form?
व्हाट, ये थोमा है सही में? ये डॉग बन सकता है। सो यू आर अ डॉग। वेयर डिड द ह्यूमन लुकिंग थोमा गो? सो यू आर अ डॉग, सही में?
Huh. So you didn't see anything like this when you were in Liyue Harbor?
एक डॉग है भाई
Now
थोमा,
that you
सही
mention
में।
it, this does suddenly seem less out of the ordinary.
I know a dog when I see one, but it still doesn't really add up. I know a dog when I see one.
all right,
Oh,
all right.
मजाक
I've
कर
had
रहा
my fun.
था, समझ गया भाई।
Hey, you're this close to getting an ugly nickname, mister.
नहीं भाई, मन से मत दे बेंटी ऐसा जल्दी
Well,
नहीं।
I've had some time to kill, given that I've been waiting here for you for so long, as was the case in Rito. So I came up with this little fun greeting for when you arrived. But in all seriousness, I would like to apologize about that little test you went through earlier. Though it was quite
वही
necessary.
ना, जो बाहर निकलने के लिए
It
इसने हमारा
helped us
टेस्ट लिया था कि
determine
ये बाहर
whether or
निकल पाते
not
हैं,
to bring
निकल
you
पाते
before
करके।
Miss Kamisato, and whether you had the courage to face the lightning alongside us.
Don't think that Paimon's gonna forgive you just because you're getting all serious now.
Sorry, did I overdo it? My apologies.
So how did we do in our test?
Let me just say this. You've often found yourself skirting the rules from the very beginning, haven't you? Naturally, this is due to your unwavering and resolute determination. A long time ago, we had a friend who was much the same. But when the lightning struck...
ओ काजुहा का फ्रेंड की बात कर रहा है। अरे अरे, यू मीन काजुहा's फ्रेंड है, मुझे पता है। उसने बताया था ना
so you've
काजुहा ने
heard of his
अपने दोस्त
story.
के बारे में कि वो लड़ने गया था।
His light still burns all the more brightly.
So we will be allowed to meet the Shirasagi Himegimi?
Yes, of course. I will bring you to the Kamisato residence where the Yashiro Commission is located. But before that, there is one other place I was hoping you both would accompany me to.
अब कहाँ जाना है?
Oh?
बोल रहा है कि हमारे साथ चल।
I would like you to come with me to the statue of the omnipresent god. It's still under construction
statue के
now,
पास जाना है,
but
चलो।
you can already see it from practically anywhere on Narukami Island.
अच्छा, तो अभी स्टैचू वो बन रहा है जिसकी बात कर रहे हैं वो। ओके, तो हमें स्टैचू के पास जाना है। जो कार्सल की बात चल रही थी ना, ये देखो, मैं दिखा नहीं रहा तुमने टाइम तो मैं दूर से। ये रहा वो कार्सल, देख रहे हो इतना बड़ा, बाप रे। तो हमें जाना कहाँ था? अच्छा, इधर जाना है। ओके, ज़्यादा दूर नहीं है।
This area sure feels gloomy. People probably don't come here often, do they? Huh?
तो यही वो मूर्ति जिसकी बात कर रहे थे।
Are eyes playing tricks, or are there things embedded in the statue?
क्या?
Visions.
विजन्स? सही में
Visions?
विजन्स लगा रखे हैं
You mean
इन्होंने
all the
मूर्ति पे।
visions that are collected
ये
from the
विजन्स है
vision
सही
hunt
में, ये
decree are
हरे
put into the
सब।
statue?
अरे बाप रे भाई।
So you've already heard of the Vision Hunt Decree.
अच्छा, तो ये विजन मतलब बंदर से विजन छीन छीन कर इस स्टैचू पे लगा रहे हैं। Why did the Shogun issue the Vision Hunt Decree? हाँ।
Before I try to explain, I should perhaps remind you first that Mondstadt is the city of freedom,
हाँ, ये तो पता है।
and Liyue is the city of
ये भी पता है।
contracts. As for Inazuma, it's known as the Nation of Eternity.
ओके, तो ये सिटी ऑफ
The
इटर्निटी
Raiden
एक तरह से।
Shogun is both the nation's most powerful ruler and its deity. The Eternity in question is her endless and unchanging will to rule over Inazuma.
हमेशा
As
इनाजुमा
such,
पे राज
she
करना चाहती है
relies on the
ऐसा।
Tri-Commission to regulate the nation's
अरे बाप
affairs,
रे, कई
and the
खतरनाक लग रही है
Sakoku
भाई ये। बाकी
Decree
दोनों
to
से भाई
limit
ज्यादा
the
ताकतवर
people's
गॉड लग
movement.
रही है और खतरनाक भी
The
लग रही है।
Shogun wishes to keep Inazuma in stasis, allowing the stream of time to flow from one end to the other without disturbing it for all time.
Seems like every god has their own will.
Of course, this is my own limited understanding. As for the reason behind the recent Vision Hunt Decree, perhaps the Shogun believes that visions grant people the power to change, and that her eternity doesn't allow for such instability to
ओ
exist.
विजय बोलना चाहते हैं कि ये
Whatever
जो
the
गॉड है
case, the fact is
विजन
that the
की वजह से
Raiden
बंदे
Shogun
चेंज हो
has
जाते हैं,
dispatched the Tenryo
जिसकी वजह से
Commission
उसकी
to
इटर्निटी
scour
जो
the
भी है वो
nation for
खराब हो जाती है,
visions,
उसके नियम के हिसाब से नहीं
embedding
चल रहे
each
हैं,
one in this statue.
इसीलिए विजन छीन रहे हैं। बहुत
And this
बढ़िया
statue of the
भाई,
omnipresent
ये
god
क्या चीज
can be
है
seen
यार?
as Inazuma's symbol
ऐसा
of
थोड़ी ना होता
eternity.
है।
But if that's the case, wouldn't you say that the Raiden Shogun is being, oh, I don't know, selfish?
ये भी बोल सकते हो, सही बोल रहे हैं वैसे।
Only outlanders such as yourselves would ever dare speak out so directly against the Raiden
ऐसा अपने
Shogun.
उसके लिए देख रही है ना,
And
अपने
yet, I
भले के
agree.
लिए कि ताकतवर
The Vision Hunt
मैं रूल
Decree
करना
is
चाहते हो
something
हमेशा,
that
इसीलिए
simply
बंदे
should
का
not
विजन छीन
exist.
गए क्योंकि
And Miss
ये चेंज ना हो
Kamisato
जाए
has
ऐसा
been
करके।
committed to fighting it since the day it was announced.
ओ ये क्या हो गया? अरे ये क्या था? क्या किया है ट्रैवलर के लिए?
Hey, are you okay? You look like your mind is elsewhere.
What was that? Sound just now.
Sound? What sound? I didn't hear anything. Did something happen?
Yeah, you touched the statue,
Oh.
and then what?
हमें मतलब जो जिसके जिसके विजन्स है उसके सारे की आवाज आ गए, एम्बिशंस ये सब के, क्योंकि विजन उसे ही मिलता है जिसके एम्बिशंस बहुत ही मतलब हाई होते हैं।
Aspirations?
किसी मतलब कुछ एम्बिशन होता है तुम्हारा, मतलब एकदम तुम चाहते हो कि ये करना है, मतलब
Have you
करना
heard it before?
हमारे दुनिया में सबसे
That
बेस्ट
when a
बनना
person's
चाहते हो किसी चीज
ambition
में, तो ये
reaches a
तुम्हारा
certain
एम्बिशन है,
strength, the
तो
gods
तुम्हें
look
विजन
upon
मिल
them
जाएगा,
with
मतलब एक
favor.
तरह से, मतलब अकॉर्डिंग टू
That
थ्योरी,
is where
मतलब
visions
मेरे
come
थ्योरी
from.
के हिसाब से।
In other words, a person's
किसी ने
vision
कंफर्म नहीं किया
represents
इस
their
गेम में कि
ambition.
विजन कैसे मिलता है किसी को
So if what you
परफेक्ट
just
अच्छी
said
तरह
is
से।
true, then the ambitions of these people are stronger than I imagined.
सो ए विजन सिंबलाइजेस एम्बिशन एंड नॉट पावर।
All right,
ये तो हमें पता था
time
वैसे।
for the next stop on our tour of Narukami Island, the
ओह
Kamisato
लेट्स गो
residence.
नारुकामी आइलैंड, मतलब श्राइन पे जा रहे हैं कामिसाटो से मिलने। द एस्पिरेशंस ऑफ ऑल, तो हमें जहाँ पे बताया गया था हम वहाँ आ चुके हैं, और ये बहुत ही जापानीज स्टाइल वाली घर का डिज़ाइन है, देख सकते हो एकदम पूरे सेम जापानीज वाला एकदम, भाई देख रहे हो पूरा जापान पे बेस्ड है ना ये मैप इनाजुमा का, इसीलिए सेम जापान जैसे दिखता है, ज़्यादा मिलता जुलता है, जैसे कि साकुरा ट्री हो गया, उनके पूरे ये
This is the kind of
घर
place
वर
where
के
the
डिज़ाइन
big
हो गए ये
shots of
सब।
Inazuma live, huh?
हाँ सही भाई।
Paimon kinda expected it to be snazzier.
इट इज हार्ड टू टॉप द जेड चैम्बर, भाई जेड चैम्बर हवा में उड़ता था, ये उसके
Welcome
सामने
at
कुछ नहीं है।
last to the Kamisato residence, honored guests. Miss Kamisato is delighted to finally meet you.
ये
Is this
पर
the
कहाँ है
Shirasage
कामिसाटो,
Himekimi
मिस
you
कामिसाटो
keep
कहाँ पे
going
है?
on about? So, where's she at? Oh, behind the screen?
Yes. As the daughter of the Yashiro Commission, this is how Miss Kamisato is accustomed to receiving guests.
Oh,
Consider it a time-honored tradition within the Yashiro Commission. Forgive me if this is an unwelcome surprise.
I think I understand.
Makes sense.
होता है भाई बड़े लोगों का
She's a
चचला
super
ऐसा
important
कैसे कर
person
सकते
after all.
हैं?
Please forgive my lack of courtesy for receiving you in this fashion, especially following such a long and wearisome journey over the sea. I have awaited your arrival with great anticipation, and Toma assures me that you do indeed possess the power to change the tide of the times. At present in Inazuma, in the name of the Vision Hunt Decree, the people's aspirations are being senselessly trampled underfoot.
अच्छा ये तो
Though the
पता है
Yashiro
रीजन के बारे
Commission
में बात चल
serves
रही है
the
अभी.
Shogun, it is the people with whom we share close bonds, given the contact we are required to have with them in the performance of our duties. A commission's power rises and falls with the trust of their people. Thus, we cannot remain indifferent to this situation without also remaining indifferent to our own fate. Traveler, lend us your power and we can...
ये चाहता है कि हमसे कि हम लड़े विजन हंट डिक्री के खिलाफ, मतलब जो विजन मतलब छीन रहे हैं कि हम उनके लड़े कि विजन मत छीनो करके. ओके तो आई एम जस्ट हियर टू मीट द राइडन शोगन और आई डिड नॉट कम टू स्टार्ट ए रेबेलियन. तो मैं दूसरा वाला बोलना चाहूंगा क्योंकि हम लड़ाई करने नहीं आए बस
See,
हमें आर्कन से मिलना
it's
है
just like I said.
और पूछ रहे कि हमारी
This
बैंड
will
कहाँ
take
है.
us nowhere.
आई एम गोइंग टू लीव नाउ. हैं
No, please, wait!
हम जा रहे हैं सही में.
Please, don't go!
थोड़ी बेइज्जती टाइप कर देंगे यार ऐसे हो जाए. व्हाट?
I will introduce you to the Raiden Shogun on one
ओ
condition.
मिलाई बोल रही है भाई.
You must
अब तो
fulfill
भाई
3 small wishes on my behalf.
3 विशेष
What are your wishes?
पूरे करने
They
हैं. ओके
pertain to 3 whose visions were taken from them.
ओके ओके.
Perhaps once you've met them, you will understand.
तो बोल रहे कि 3 बंदों से मिलो जिनकी विजन छीन लिए गए हैं. ओके तो हमें उन 3 बंदों से जाके मिलना है.
A warrior who guards a village, a former samurai who helped carry
Okay,
out the
एक
Vision
villager,
Hunt Decree, and a sword
एक
master
warrior है,
determined
एक
to become
samurai
the
और
best in the world.
स्वॉर्ड
Does
मास्टर.
Paimon
ओके
get that right?
3 है.
Correct.
एक समुराई, एक जो
Please do all
वॉरियर
you
जो
can
विलेज
to
को
help
प्रोटेक्ट
them.
करता है और एक स्वॉर्ड मास्टर
I
जो
will
बेस्ट बनना
await your
चाहता
return
है
here.
स्वॉर्ड मास्टर स्वॉर्ड में. आई विल डू एज यू विश.
Then you have my gratitude.
I'm sure you'll do great.
पर्दे के पीछे कौन है? इसी के पीछे आवाज आ रही थी ना. मैं तो भाई खोज के होगा कहाँ गए. मैं तो घर घूम रहा हूँ भाई. तुम्हारा है कोई दिक्कत? ये तलवार निकाले यार. ओ मैं तो इनका भाई घर छान मार रहा हूँ. ओ पर इस घर में कुछ है नहीं यार, बस बड़ा सा बना रखा है. ये किसका कपड़ा है भाई? किसका किमोनो या युकाटा में सर एक किमोनो है. कॉलर नहीं है इसमें. हाँ किमोनो है. भाई थमा आ गए.
Miss Kamisato's left, it seems. No cutting corners now, okay?
इसे पता था कि भाई गेम वाले को पता था कि मैं जाऊंगा ऐसे झांकने पीछे से. ये वॉरियर होगा ना जो विलेज को प्रोटेक्ट करता है.
Ayaka told us about.
Why are you doing this? Why leave all of a sudden, after all these years?
Precisely. It's much too sudden. We've had no time to prepare. The children are desperate for you to take them out to play.
चल क्या रहा है आप वो समझ नहीं आ रहा क्योंकि
Please, we
अचानक से हम
urge
बीच
you
में
to
घुस गए ना.
reconsider.
That must be the guy Ayaka told us about. Let's go
पर
over and see.
उसने बोला था आयाका ने बोला था कि ये बंदे वो हैं जिनका विजन इनसे छीन लिया गया है. ओके हेलो.
Ah, you must also be here to try and convince Tejima to stay.
व्हाट हैपेंड हमें पता ही नहीं है तेजिमा
Tejima
क्या
has
किया था.
protected this place ever since he arrived here 30
ओ 30
years
साल से भाई
ago.
प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है.
Keeping out the treasure hoarders, fending off any monsters that draw near, resolving quarrels between the villagers. He has put an enormous amount of work into looking after this place.
ओके
And we all think the
तो एक
world
तरह से
of
विलेज का
him.
गार्डियन हुआ ना.
But now, all of a sudden, he says he plans to leave us.
भाई क्यों जाना भाई?
We
30 साल
can't
तक तूने
help
यहाँ
but
पे
wonder.
मतलब
Was it
रुका हुआ था.
something we
अचानक से क्यों
did?
जाना है भाई? हेलो.
We will gladly apologize if that's the case. All we want is for him to stay.
ओके तो ये चाहता है कि मतलब ये जो वॉरियर था जिसका विजन छीन लिया गया है कि ये चाहता है कि मैं यहाँ से भागना, मतलब भागना यार क्या बोल रहा हूँ, मतलब यहाँ से जाना चाहता है छोड़कर.
If
So why
you
the
want my
change?
opinion,
Okay.
something to do with the vision hunt decree.
हाँ बेचारे का विजन
It's
छिल लिया
clear
ना।
that Tejima had done nothing wrong, and still they confiscated his vision. After that, he became a completely different person. I can't claim to fully understand it, but I could tell that he'd lost something very important to him. He went off on a walk, alone, circled the village a few times, and then out of the blue, he announced that he was going to leave and become a wanderer. Truth be told, we aren't sure whether trying to keep him here is the right thing to do. But equally, it doesn't feel
छोड़ के
right to
कोई
let him
जाना क्यों
leave
चाहता है? यहाँ पे
when
कोई रीजन
he's
तो होगा ना।
in this state. He's a lost soul.
पर ये बोल रहे कि जब से
Seems like
विजन
he's a well-respected
छीन लिया गया है
guy
तब से ये
around
मतलब
here.
चेंज हो गया है। वैसे वेल रिस्पेक्टेड तो होगा ही ना कि 30 साल से भाई ये मतलब प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है इस विलेज को।
One day, I'll be as great as Ryuji. You must be Tejima. So what's made you want to up and leave all of a sudden?
Me? It's not a question of why I want to leave, but a question of what reason I would have to stay.
हाँ अब भाई 30 साल तक तू यहाँ पे क्यों रुका तो मुझे नहीं पता तो हमें कैसे पता तो ओके यू आर लिव्ड हियर फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम। हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ 30 साल के लिए यहाँ था यार ये।
But that's not why I chose to stay here. And what made me want to come here 30 years ago? And why have I never wanted to leave in all that time? I don't have answers to those questions because I can't remember anymore.
क्या?
Ever since they took my vision away, it's like a slice of my memory is
ओ
gone.
जब से इसका विजन मतलब छिल गया तब से इसकी
Past.
मेमोरी मतलब
I
चला
knew I
गया ऐसा
wanted
टाइप
to
का बोल रहा
stay
है।
here. But whatever resolve I had then, it's gone now. So I thought, what's to stop me from moving around instead? The emptiness inside me will be there either way.
Okay. Well, in that case, if we help you rediscover the reason you chose to stay, you won't need to leave anymore, right?
तो हमें इसको
As if
रीजन
you can't
मतलब देना
remember
कि क्यों
anything,
ना छोड़ के जाए इस
it's
विलेज
not
को।
gonna be easy.
ओके
Oh, maybe if you just try a little harder to remember, then it'll all come flooding back.
ऐसा नहीं होता पाइमॉन की तुम जोर से सोचो तो
that
याद हो
reminds me.
जाएगा।
Last time I brought Tejima some fruit, I do believe I saw him writing in a
ओ
diary.
डायरी है तो लिखा होगा ना उस पे इसके बारे में
I
अपने बारे में
keep
इसमें
a
लिखा होगा।
diary? If you say so. I honestly can't seem
देखो
to
यार पर बंदा
remember.
वही सही में कुछ याद नहीं यार डायरी से करके
Yes,
भूल
you
गया है।
do. And what's more, I remember you saying at the time that you wanted to make a note of a few interesting things. Things which would prove very important at a later date.
Perfect! So if we want to keep Tejima from leaving, we just need to find his
तो उसकी
diary.
डायरी खोजो चलो
It
भाई।
must be around here somewhere. Let's take a
अच्छा
look.
तो हमें उसकी डायरी खोजनी
If
है।
you don't mind, we will leave you to find the diary. We should head back to the village to inform the others of Tejima's situation.
भाई डायरी घूमी ही कहा थी जो खोजूं तेरे लिए बगल में ही पड़ी है।
This looks like Tejima's diary, all right. Let's see what we have here. Today, the villagers and I got together to cook dry braised salted
ये तो
fish.
डेली डायरी
I
टाइप की
messed
है।
up and burned mine a little, so I had to pretend that it was black snakehead instead.
जल गया।
Today, I helped rescue a kid who had fallen in the water. After I pulled him out, he told me that his best friend Bamboo was still in the water. I searched the water the whole afternoon before finding out that Bamboo was the
ले
name of
भाई
his pet crab.
पेट क्रैब का नाम तो उससे लगा वो
I
बेस्ट
went
फ्रेंड है
kite
बहुत
flying
बढ़िया।
today. The string broke, so I chased after it as fast as I could. I soon realized I was never going to get
एक
it
तरह से
back.
इसकी डायरी ये
So I
डेली
just
लाइफ
found
एडवेंचर की
somewhere
तरह है
to
ना।
sit and watch as it flew away into the distance. Seems like your average diary of daily village life.
वैसा ही लगता है वैसे तो।
Wait,
और क्या
there's
होगा?
more. I went to pray at the shrine again today and stayed there a while. The omamori you gave me has faded a little,
ओमामोरी क्या
but it
होता है?
is still my most treasured possession.
ओमामोरी होता क्या वैसे?
Now that's the kind of info we're looking for. Time to pay a visit to the shrine.
ओके तो श्राइन में कुछ मतलब ओमामोरी जैसा कुछ चीज़ है जो पता नहीं क्या होता है इसका मतलब मुझे। तो ये श्राइन तो इसी को बोलते हैं ना।
Omamori Tejima wrote
ये
about.
ओमामोरी क्या है मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा है। ताड़ा जैसे दिख रहा है मुझे तो।
Interesting. Looking at the color and
ताबीज
the
है तो।
design,
अच्छा
I
ताबीज को
would have thought
ओमामोरी
it
बोलते हैं
belonged
क्या?
to a child. But anyway, if he had this with him all the time, there's a chance some of his elemental energy remained on it. Do you think that it might come in handy?
ओके, तो अपनी एलिमेंटल एनर्जी इस्तेमाल करनी होगी ना हमें अब।
Here we are. This seems to be somewhere that Tejima visited a lot. The soil looks like it's been disturbed. Maybe Tejima buried something precious
क्या
here.
पता खजाना छुपा रखा
Something that
होगा।
kept him in the village all these years? Must be something pretty amazing if it made him stick around for 30 years. Let's dig it up and take a look. It looks
चिट्ठी,
like a letter. The paper's gone
मतलब
yellow.
बहुत पुराना है पेपर,
Must
मतलब
have been written a really long
पीला हो गया है
time
ना, तो
ago.
बहुत पुराना होगा भाई।
Konda
If we become separated
Village.
during war, go wait for me in
Sounds so
Konda village, they will
familiar.
be safe for me.
Where is that place again?
It's here, Konda village यही है।
So the reason Tejima came here
तो
was
किसी
to
को
wait
लेटर
for
लिखा था कि
someone.
अगर वॉर होगा तो अब
But he's
अलग हो
been
जाए
here
तो
for
कोंडा
30
विलेज में जाके
years.
मेरा इंतजार करना।
Oh, guess
तो
they
इसीलिए
didn't show up in the end,
कोई
huh?
लड़की उड़की थी मेरे ख्याल से, मुझे जहाँ तक
Let's go
लगता
give
है।
Tejima his stuff back
तो
and
किसी
take it
मतलब
from
किसी
there.
लड़की के लिए इंतजार कर रहा था 30 साल तक। बाप रे, और ये चीज वो भूल चुका है ना।
Well, I'll be. That's certainly my handwriting. And I guess the Omamorian letter belonged to me too. But I have no memory of anything that's written in this diary. Still, it's clear that I was waiting for someone here, and that I chose to wait for 30 years. Over the years, I must have made a note of anything interesting. Anything that I could share with her when we were finally reunited. And just look at all the things that did happen over the years. The time has flown by so quickly.
भाई पर बस सही मानना पड़ेगा, बंदा 30 साल तक इंतजार किया है अभी तक, और वो भूल चुका था भाई
How could
इसके
I
बारे
have
में।
forgotten something so important to me?
यार वो जिसके लिए बुरा लग रहा है, पर सर विजन जहाँ छिन गया इसकी वजह से ये पूरा अपने यादाश्त
Now
को
that
बैठी
I
इसने।
think about it, when my vision was taken from me, it felt like I'd suddenly been hollowed out.
तो यार सही में थोड़ा सा इमोशनल टाइप का है
Love,
इसका ये
regret,
स्टोरी।
everything I felt for her.
अपने सारे रीजन
It's all
सोचो इतने
disappeared.
अच्छा, मतलब तुम ये सब अच्छे अच्छे मेमोरीज अपने ये सारे विजन के चक्कर में भूल जाते हो। सोचो विजन तुमसे ले लिया जाता है और तुम भूल जाते हो अपनी अच्छी मेमोरीज से भी, ये सारे विलेजर के साथ जो बिताया है, ये सारी चीजें, ये सारे तुम भूल जाते हो। कैसा लगेगा तुम्हें?
No, not especially.
यार मुझे बुरा लग रहा है सुन के।
After all, I've forgotten who she was. Her face, her voice, the things we experienced together. I barely recall any of it. It's as if she'd never been in my life to begin with. As if all these years have been nothing but a hazy dream.
So do you still plan on living?
I think maybe
ओ
not.
ये नहीं छोड़ के आ रहा है, ठीक है ठीक है,
If
अब
this
नहीं छोड़
is
के आ रहा
something
है।
I waited most of my life for, I suppose I should carry on waiting. Although, what if she were to turn up eventually, only to find I didn't remember so much as her name?
अब 30 साल तक तो रुका है भाई,
Wouldn't
कुछ
that
सोच
be
के
upsetting
मतलब
for
इसकी
her?
मेमोरी में याद, मतलब आया नहीं है इसकी मेमोरी,
When I think about it
और
like
क्या
that,
पता कुछ तो रीजन होगा
I
भाई।
do feel a slight tinge of sadness in my heart. How curious. Why am I
पहले
thinking
तुम
like this
मतलब
when I
पहले
don't
ये
even
अकेला था, अभी
remember
इसके
who
साथ पूरे
she
विलेज
is?
वाले हैं, तो भाई
It's
छोड़ के
just
जाना
like
मतलब
that
पूरा
feeling
परिवार
of
छोड़ के जाना हो
emptiness.
जाएगा।
The feeling that something is missing. Thank you both for helping me reconnect with my reason for
अरे
staying
कोई बात
here.
नहीं, थैंक्स नहीं बोलने की जरूरत नहीं
I
है।
shall remain here and keep waiting for her.
Tejima seems to be dealing okay, but still, it makes Paimon really sad.
या मी टू, सही में भाई मुझे भी थोड़ा बुरा लग
It's
रहा है
just
यार।
like Ayaka and Toma were saying. If you lose your vision, you lose all your hopes and dreams too. That certainly explains the state Teijima
सही
was
में यार,
in
पर मुझे इसके लिए
earlier.
बुरा बहुत लग रहा है.
At least we were able to
पता नहीं
help
क्यों.
him, weren't we? Well, let's go find the
अब
next
किसकी बारी है?
person.
समुराई की बारी है ना कोई? एक swordsman है और
According to Miss
समुराई बचे बस.
Kamisato, the second one who lost their vision is a samurai
Okay.
from the Tenryou
तो अब हमें
Commission.
समुराई से मिल जाना कोई.
They say the Tenryou Commission is directly controlled by the Shogun. They're the ones responsible for maintaining law and order in
अच्छा,
Inazuma.
तो तेनरियो
the ones
कमीशन को
actually
शोगन चलाती है.
enforcing the vision
3
hunt
कमीशन है. एक तेनरियो
Why would they take action against
तेनरियो
one of
कमीशन हो
their
गया एक,
own?
और एक यासिरो कमीशन जिस आयाका जिसमें रहती है वो यासिरो कमीशन है, और एक और कमीशन जिसका नाम मुझे अभी याद नहीं है.
Let's go see what's happening.
ये यहाँ पे कुछ चल रहा है.
I'll ask one more time. Do you intend to withhold this month's emergency provisions?
The entire clan is counting on that food. We demand an explanation. How many times do I have to say
यहाँ पे
it?
क्या चल रहा है मुझे अभी समझ नहीं
Don't
रहा.
know anything about
पर
emergency
इतना पता चलता है कि
provisions.
इमरजेंसी
You dare deceive
प्रोविजन
us?
जैसे कुछ नाम है,
Those provisions are
उसके बारे में बात चल
essential.
रहा है.
Do you understand? Not some goods to be pocketed by greedy samurai.
You samurai think you can just do whatever you please? The Tenryou Commission will hear of
चल क्या रहा
this.
है भाई, बताओ तो. इमरजेंसी प्रोविजंस लाइक इमरजेंसी फूड. अच्छा,
Oh, huh? And who are you? One of Kurosawa's gang, no doubt.
What? We just happened to be passing
तो ये
by.
बोल रहा है कि
We heard the
इमरजेंसी
commotion and
फूड
came to
दे ही
see
रहा
what
ही
the
नहीं.
matter was.
ये रख लिया, ऐसा बोल रहा है ना
I
ये
see.
समुराई
You seem to
इमरजेंसी
have
फूड
come
रख
just
लिया.
at the
ऐसा
right
कुछ.
time. Perhaps you can help us settle this
तो
matter.
बात क्या है बताओ भाई.
This is
Okay.
Kurosawa. He's a samurai and a member of the Shogun's
अच्छा.
army. They issue emergency provisions to the area, and he's the one responsible for
ओके, तो
distribution.
ये इमरजेंसी
In the
प्रोविजन
past,
बांटता था.
we'd simply ask him for provisions and everything would be
Okay.
delivered. Now, he suddenly refuses to give us anything.
अच्छा,
He's keeping the provisions for himself. I just know it. We'll starve without
तो
them.
ये बोल रहा है कि इसने
one seems to
इमरजेंसी
care about
प्रोविजन
us.
मतलब
We
अपने
used
लिए
to
रख
think
लिए.
Kurosawa was a kind man, but he's shown his true colors. He's the same as all the other samurai. It's no wonder all the visions have been confiscated. The Raiden Shogun doesn't need people like him helping her rule the
इसका भी
nation.
वीजा ले लिया गया है ना.
This must be one of the people Ayaka asked us to help. But why would she ever want us to help someone like
इसका है
him?
ना, क्या पता भाई अब.
Maybe we should talk to Kurosawa and see what he has to say.
तो बताइए जी, आपने लिया है इमरजेंसी प्रोविजन जो भी है.
I've never even heard of these emergency provisions. I don't know whether it's rumors or whether they're trying to blackmail me. But either way, it's ridiculous. If I was hoarding supplies, would I still be the poor man I am today?
ओके, तो ये बोल रहा है कि ये नहीं, इसने
My
नहीं
own
चुराया.
family can barely get
या
by
लिया
as it
नहीं है
is.
इसने.
No, if you'll excuse me, I've got other matters to attend to.
We heard that you lost your vision recently.
And that's the
तो
first bit
इसने
of
भी अपना
truth I've
विजन
heard all
मतलब खो
day.
दिया ना, मतलब छीन ले गया है, खो दिया है क्या.
The Shogun's army told me that I was unworthy of my vision. And they said I was slacking off in my work. Apparently, I'd even disappointed the Raiden Shogun. And that's why they confiscated my vision.
Well, that's strange. You were helping enforce the vision hunt decree.
हाँ,
Why would
ये
you
अभी मैं
be
सोच रहा
unworthy
हूँ.
of your
ये
vision?
विजन हंटिंग के मतलब
To
काम
be
करता था
perfectly
उनके साथ.
honest,
इसका विजन
I
क्यों छीना
don't
है
seem to
उन्होंने?
remember the
अपने ही आदमी
details.
का विजन क्यों छीना है उन्होंने?
All I know is that I would perform certain things every month. But I don't recall what
कुछ
they
करता
were.
थे हर महीने, पर ये से याद नहीं आ रहा है.
It's not just that. I have this unsettling feeling. Like
कोई ऐसा सीन है क्या, अगर मतलब
owes
तुम्हारा
me
कोई विजन
something.
ले ले तो तुम्हारी
Does
याददाश्त
it
चले
have
जाती
to
है?
do with the missing emergency provisions?
मुझे तो ऐसी लग रहा है,
I
क्योंकि
didn't
जिनका
take
भी
any.
विजन ले लिया गया है
Like I
उनकी
said,
याददाश्त खो गई है आधी
if I was
सी.
taking them for myself, I wouldn't be going
बस
through
उन्हें
such
पता है कि वो
hard
क्या
times
करते
right
थे, क्या
now.
करते थे, नाम
To
क्या है
top
ये
it
सब.
all off,
फिर बाकी
my
सारी
house
यादें
was just
भूल
raided
चुके
by
हैं,
treasure
पता ही
hoarders,
कैसे.
which is why I came
ओके
here in
ओके,
the first
तो
place.
इनका हाउस मतलब ट्रेजर
I was
ऑर्डर
chasing
द्वारा
after them when I
चुरा
got
लिया
held
गया.
up by these two. If you don't believe me, go find the treasure hoarders yourself. If there were any emergency provisions to be had, they
ओके,
would
तो
have
इसके
found
घर को
them.
चुरा लिया था ट्रेजर ऑर्डर घुस के. अच्छा,
He seems to be telling the
तो बोल रहा है कि ये
truth.
ट्रेजर ऑर्डर के जाओ
But we
खोजो
better
जिसने इसका घर को
confirm.
चुराया है.
Let's go round up those treasure hoarders and see what they have
ओके,
to
तो अब
say.
हमें ट्रेजर ऑर्डर के पास
We
जाना है.
should be able to follow their tracks. They couldn't have gone too far.
तो हमें अब चोरों को खोजना है. ये रहे नमूने. ओए कैसे चोर.
We really outdid ourselves this time. All those samurai
देख रहे हो
houses
चोरी
packed
करके
with
कैसे घुस हो रहे
goods.
हैं।
We really hit the jackpot. I mean, besides that
एक
one
हाउस में
house.
जिसमें अच्छा सामान
You
नहीं था।
haven't seen anything yet. There'll be a lot more where this came
अभी
from.
बताता हूँ, चोर लोग को बताता
Today's
हूँ,
just the
रुको रुको रुको।
beginning. I'll be leading you all on an epic journey of pillage and plunder.
अरे बाप रे, चोर बोल रहा भाई, एडवेंचर पे ले जाएगा चोरी के।
You demand, boss.
These seem like the treasure hoarders we're after. Let's teach them a lesson.
अरे पकड़ पकड़ के मारेंगे भाई इज्जत से। हेडशॉट बहुत बढ़िया, अच्छे निशाना नहीं है एकदम।
Into the wind.
अरे मर गए बेचारे, अरे सॉरी सॉरी।
Oh, there goes all the aura. We worked hard to steal that, you know?
वो बहुत कड़ी मेहनत की थी
think of
यार
something.
चोरी करने के लिए इन्होंने, यार क्या बोल रहे हैं,
Not bad,
शर्म
kid.
तो आती नहीं।
You ever think of joining the treasure hoarders? We could
मार
use
खा गई,
someone
लाते
like
लाते
you.
खाओगे अभी। देख रहे हो भाई, ट्रेजर वाले ज्वाइन करने के लिए बोल रहे हैं। फॉरगेट इट, टेल अस यू नो अबाउट द कुरोसावा,
Kurosawa.
जिसका तुमने घर चुराया था।
Oh, I remember.
घर नहीं चुराया था, सामान
So
चुराया
he's the
था।
one who sent you after us, huh? Just our luck. I knew we shouldn't have hit that place.
So what did you see inside? Was it stuffed with food supplies?
Food supplies? You kidding? That place was a complete mess. All we found was a strange-looking box, hopefully with
बस
valuables
इन्हें एक
inside.
बॉक्स मिला वहाँ,
I didn't want anyone else to
और
see
कुछ नहीं
it,
मिला।
so I
मतलब
was
उसने
planning on
खाना नहीं
opening
लिया,
it
वो झूठ नहीं
myself
बोल
once
रहा
we
था।
got back. But now that you've caught us, how about we make a deal? That little box for our freedom. What do you say?
मार खा, एक दो लात मारे।
You've got a deal. Now show us what's in the box.
दिखा, देख लेंगे फिर मारेंगे।
Huh?
What the?
There's nothing in here but
What is
IOUs.
IOUs?
Yeah, a lot of them
रुको रुको
too.
रुको रुको।
And they all seem to be made out to the owner of a general goods store, a Miss Aoi.
ओके, तो
We're talking tons of more, I
कोई
hear.
आई नाम का मतलब बंदे के मतलब नाम पे IOUs है। IOUs का मतलब देख लेता हूँ गूगल करके एक बार, 2 सेकंड देना। अच्छा, तो IOU का मतलब एक तरह से मतलब IOU का मतलब ये होता है कि एक तरह से मतलब उधारी जो लेते हो ना, तो उसको रसीद टाइप की उधारी की, मतलब मैं इतना उधारी देना बाकी है करके, एक तरह से मतलब उसका रसीद है कि मैं इतना उधारी देना, ये सब खाता में मतलब उधारी जो देते हैं ना, ऐसे दुकान में ऐसे टाइप का है।
We better talk to this Miss Aoi and get to the bottom
अच्छा,
of
तो
this.
किसी मतलब ये कुरोसावा ने किसी से उधारी ले रखी है,
You're
उसकी
free
ये
to
पेपर्स
go.
है।
Just pray that our paths don't cross
नहीं तो we
again.
are gonna beat your ass.
Yes, of course. So, we redeemed ourselves for some IOUs. Does that mean we broke even?
Shut it. Let's just get out of here.
Welcome to Tsukumomono Groceries. We've got everything you need. Can I help you find something? Or perhaps there's something you
About
want
the
to
IOUs.
inquire about? Ah, so you're friends of Kurosawa, I take it. Perhaps you're here to pay off
नहीं
his
नहीं नहीं
debts.
भाई।
Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're just here to learn where they all came from. How did Kurosawa end up owing you so much money?
हाँ भाई, इतना मतलब पैसा कैसे लग गया भाई, वो कहाँ गरीबी में चला गया एकदम, इतना
Let me
सारा पैसा का
think.
मतलब वो लेके।
Kurosawa
और
would
उसने लिया
come
क्यों?
regularly to purchase large quantities of
ओके, तो
foodstuffs.
खरीदता था,
He'd always put
खाना
the
वाना
payment
खरीदता था।
on his own
अच्छा,
account.
ओके ओके।
However, the price of provisions began to skyrocket recently,
अच्छा,
and
खाने
his
के दाम
salary
बढ़
was
गए।
no longer enough to cover the
Okay.
cost. So, he
और
started
इसकी
writing out
सैलरी मतलब
IOUs
इतनी
to cover
नहीं थी कि
whatever
वो
he
खाना खरीद
couldn't
सके।
afford of the usual amount.
So that's how he was getting those emergency provisions.
ओके,
But why did he have to purchase a usual amount?
कम खरीदता है ना, हो ना।
Increased? Couldn't he just buy
हाँ, सही
less?
बोल रहे पावन।
Well, if you think about it, the citizens receiving the emergency provisions must have been carefully calculating how much they needed
मतलब
to sustain
ये
them
वही
each
जो मैं सोच
time.
रहा हूँ।
Kurosawa thought that it would be quite the disappointment
मतलब
for
ये
them if
बंदा
they
रुको रुको
found they didn't have enough, especially after such long and careful
रुको रुको
planning.
रुको, तो मैं भाई यही है जो मैं सोच रहा हूँ, जो ये सही में मतलब ये जो कुरोसावा था, ये अपने पैसों से खरीद के गांव वालों को मतलब वो खाना वाला सब दे रहा था और बोल रहा था कि ये इमरजेंसी फूड है, मतलब वो अपने सैलरी से दे रहा था। ऐसा नहीं था कि ये सरकार, मतलब सरकार बोल रहा था, सोगन की तरफ से मिल रहा था ये इमरजेंसी फूड्स, ये वो अपने पैसे से दे रहा था। तभी मतलब जब खाना का दाम बढ़ गया तो तब वो अफोर्ड नहीं कर पा रहा था जितना वो खरीदता था। फिर उसने मतलब तभी ये डेब्ट मतलब ये उधारी लेना चालू किया ना। तो भाई मतलब यार
So he deemed it necessary to take on the debt rather than let the people down.
और ये उल्टा गाली खा रहा था भाई बंदों से।
Wow.
वही था जो इमरजेंसी
Othello
फूड
was
खरीदा था और उल्टा ये
purchasing
विलेजर
all
से
the
गाली खा रहा था कि
emergency
उसने रख लिया
provisions
करके।
at his own expense.
ओ यार
And no one
ये तो
ever
बहुत अच्छा आदमी था यार,
appreciated what
सही
he
में बहुत
did.
अच्छा आदमी था यार।
They just complained and held him accountable.
People's attitudes will always reflect their circumstances. In the face of hardship, nobody cares to think twice. If you ask me, had Kurosawa told everyone the truth about the supplies from the start, then there wouldn't be such a severe backlash now. Of course, I'm sure there would still have been some unrest. What he was doing was truly a thankless
नहीं बोला
deed.
वैसे तो
As for why he chose to spend his own money on emergency provisions
यार सही में
and
बहुत
never
अच्छा
tell
आदमी था यार, अपने
anyone,
पैसा से खर्च
I'm
करके खाना
still
दे रहा था और
not
किसी को
too
बताया
clear
भी नहीं।
myself. If you're still curious, why don't you go ask him yourself?
Unfortunately he doesn't remember। हाँ यार उसे याद भी नहीं है।
I
और ये
see. That reminds me, it seems that his vision was recently
जिसका भी विजन
confiscated.
छिले जाता है उसके रात
Most
खो जाती है, ऐसा कुछ है क्या?
unfortunate. If he doesn't clear the debt on his
क्योंकि मुझे
name,
लग तो रहा है
he'll
कि
have
ऐसा
no
ही है।
choice but to sell that sword that is so dear to
तलवार
him.
बेचने की बात क्या?
Sword? What sword?
Oh, didn't he tell you? He possesses a very valuable
सही में?
blade. He's carried it for years now. I've asked him about its origins. He told me that it was a gift
यार
from his
उसके पापा का
father,
गिफ्ट है,
that
थोड़ी
it was
बेचेगा
too
उसे।
precious to sell. In hindsight, I regret that I never made an offer on it. Everything has its price, at least that's what I think. Why don't you ask him about the sword yourself? Perhaps it'll even provide you with the answers you're looking
ओके
for.
तो उसकी तलवार के बारे
Oh,
में पूछे अब।
but before you go,
भाई
if
क्यों
you would
बेचेगा कोई अपने
kindly
तलवार जिसके
settle
उसके
today's
पापा
bill.
ने गिफ्ट की है या किसी पेरेंट वाले ने
But
या
we
किसी
didn't buy
मतलब
anything.
चाहते हो उसने गिफ्ट किए तुम्हें, थोड़ी बेचोगे तुम
Information is
है?
also a kind of commodity, wouldn't you agree? Don't worry, I won't charge much for information about
ठीक है भाई,
Kurosawa.
ले लो लूट
Nothing
लो
we
भाई
ever
हमें।
discussed was explicitly
इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए
confidential
वैसे चलो चलो
anyway. Oh, let me
2000 चलो ठीक
think.
है।
2,000 mora should be a
ठीक
fair
है भाई ले ले
price.
2000, फेयर इनफ।
At least we now know where the emergency provisions are coming from. Plus, we found out that Kurosawa has a priceless sword in his
ठीक है।
possession. Let's go talk to Kurosawa again and see if he can remember anything. What are you doing here all by yourself? Where did those other two go?
I presented them with a choice. Either they left or I
अच्छा
drew my
तलवार दिखा के
sword.
डरा दिया।
They left. It turned out to be a real time saver, actually. Perhaps I should start using it more
भाई
often.
बंदा इतना अच्छा यार, पता
Did
नहीं
you
है
manage
गाँव
to
वालों
track
को
down the
सही
treasure
में।
hoarders?
एक्चुअली
Everything I said was true, right?
तो हमने सारी चीजें बता दी उसे कि क्या क्या हुआ था।
That just about sums it up. It turns out that you really were distributing emergency
इस
provisions.
पे वाला डायलॉग अच्छा पड़ता है,
But
पता है
they were
साजमी
all
पे ना ये
purchased
वाला
at
डायलॉग
your
अच्छा
own
पड़ता है।
expense.
वो है फिर हेरा फेरी कहते ना,
Strange.
मैं तो तुझे
Is
राक्षस
that
समझता था
really
लेकिन
the
तू
kind
देव
of
मानुस
person
निकला
I
रे वाला,
was?
यही वाला।
I don't really have any such recollection. Even after all you've told me, I still don't remember anything. Why was I purchasing emergency provisions for
Exactly.
everyone? And why would I put myself in such a difficult situation?
साता के दिल अच्छा है भाई इसका,
I
वही
really
बंदे
don't
का।
understand. But I cannot deny that when I brandished my sword to scare those two away, I could sense that my body was somehow reluctant to do so.
Mind if we have a look?
This sword was once wielded
चलो कम
by
से कम
my
इतना याद तो
father.
है इसे।
I remember once when I was young, I wanted to sneak out with the blade and show it off to the kids
Okay.
next door.
कहानी बता रहा अपने बचपन की।
My father ended up catching me in the act and scolded me severely.
ओहो अपने पापा से
What
पिटाई
did
हो
he
गई ना
say?
इसके। तलवार लेके भाग गया था ना बचपन में अपने दोस्त को दिखाने के
I
लिए।
can't seem to remember that either. It would seem that I forgot many important things
मेरे
when
ख्याल
my
से मुझे क्या
vision
लगता है
was
पता है,
taken from me.
जब किसी से कि विजन छीना जाता है ना, जब से उसे विजन मिला है तब से उसका विजन छीना है, मतलब उस बीच में जो भी चीज हुए ना इम्पोर्टेंट चीजें वो सारी चीजें भूल जाते हैं मेरे ख्याल से। और उससे पहले और विजन छीनने के बाद की चीजें इन्हें याद रहती है ना। जब तक इनके विजन था और इनके साथ जो जो चीज हुआ ना ये चीज बारे में भूल जाते हैं, पता नहीं क्यों।
And said to me, with this sword, you should.
You should भूल गया, वो भी भूल गया यार।
Hey, if you look
Oh,
carefully,
bhai.
there seems to
सही में यार बहुत सैड लग रहा है यार ये स्टोरी
Can you
इनकी।
recognize the
ये
words?
सारों की भाई स्टोरी बहुत यार सैड है, देख रहे हो। The words are virtue and justice.
Virtue and justice? Somehow those two words seem to explain everything now. Taking on seemingly endless
याद
debts
आ
to
गया
make
क्या थोड़ा
others
बहुत चीजें
happy.
नहीं?
I guess that must have been my greatest ambition after all. But what use are virtue and justice? I purchased the provisions for those in need. And look how things ended up.
नेकी कर दरिया में डाला है ना।
The Tenryo Commission seized my vision. And the very people I was so desperately trying to help refused to understand me. And the irony of all of it is, I somehow still felt sorry when threatening them with my blade. I'm incapable of being a good person, yet I'm equally unable to be bad. I don't know what to do with
यार
myself.
मुझे बहुत बुरा लग रहा है यार।
Another troubled soul.
जब से इनका विजन छिना है ना, इनका भाई जिंदगी उथल पुथल हो गई है इनके साथ भाई। बेचारे बहुत
The
बुरा लग रहा है
Yashiro
मुझे इनके
Commission
लिए।
would surely help cover his expenses. In any case, we must never let him sell off that
It's not
sword.
really matter.
Yeah, seems like losing all ambition is a
लग तो रहा है यार।
terrible
अब मुझे लगता है कि
experience.
ना विजन एंड डिग्री के खिलाफ हमें जाना पड़ेगा यार। देख रहे हो जिनके भी विजन मतलब छिना
Let's go find the
गया,
next
देख रहे हो कैसा हो
morsel.
गया उनकी हालत यार। सोचो इनके इतने सारे बंदों की विजन छिने होगा तो उनके साथ क्या हुआ होगा। अगर ये बस हमने 2 ही बंदों से सिर्फ हमने बात की है और 2 ही बंदों से बात करके हमें इतना बुरा लगा। सोचो कम से कम 1000 या 100 तो 100 से 500 या 1000 तो होंगे ही ना। उनके साथ क्या हुआ होगा। तो अब हम जा रहे हैं तीसरे बंदे के पास जिसने अपनी विजन मतलब खो दी है,
The
मतलब
third
छीन लिया गया
person
है।
who had their vision taken is supposed to be a famous sword
ओके
master
तो ये
around
स्वॉर्ड
these
मास्टर है
parts.
कोई।
Paimon heard that he's the present-day master of Meikyo Shisui art. Sounds pretty impressive. This is his dojo. Luckily, there's some people around. Let's go talk to them.
चलो देखते हैं अब यहाँ पे क्या हुआ है।
Don't worry, since they
दो
will
लोगों
be
के ऊपर
fine.
स्टोरी तो बहुत थोड़ा सैड और
Those
इमोशनल
thugs
टाइप
that
की थी
challenged the
थोड़ी सी।
dojo were strong, but
देखते
he
हैं यहाँ
fought
पे
them
क्या
all off in the end, didn't he?
अच्छा कोई डोजो के बारे में चल रही है बात।
Maybe, but I'm still worried about him.
किसके बारे में बात चल रही है।
Things have gotten dangerous before in the past, but it's never shaken him. This time, though,
हुआ क्या यार।
It's just because he's been possessed. That's
जस्ट
all.
सही में।
Once the exorcism has taken place, he'll be right as rain in no time.
ओके तो कोई पोजेस्ड हो चुका ऐसी बात चल रही है।
Who are you? I don't care whether you're trespassers or just here to harass us while Sensei is
नहीं
impaired.
भाई हम बात
Get
करना है
out
यार,
of here
ऐसा मत बोलो यार, हम बात करना है।
Don't make me draw my blade, or you won't
अरे
live
भाई
to
ये डरा
regret
रहा
it.
है।
No, you got it so wrong. We just came here to.
We are to become disciples. अच्छा चले बनना है।
Yep. We've heard all about the mighty master of Meikyo Shisui art. It's the whole reason we came all this way, to seek him out and ask him to train us. But then we got here and overheard you talking about how he got possessed or something?
From the way you're dressed, it doesn't look like you're
सबको
from
पता
around
चल जाता
here.
है हम बात है।
Please, accept my apologies.
अरे
We've
कोई
had
बात
so many
नहीं।
people trying to cause us trouble recently that we're on high alert. You haven't arrived at the best of times, I'm afraid. Sensei got possessed recently, and he's still recovering. He's not able to take on any new disciples for the time
ओके
being.
तो पोजेस्ड हो चुका है ऐसा कुछ बोल रहे हैं इनके चेहरे। We can wait till he is recovered.
I see you are earnest in your
हम नहीं
pursuit.
जाना भाई, छोड़ के ऐसे सीख के जाएंगे अब
Okay,
तलवारबाजी।
how about this? My fellow disciple Nanako and I will explain Sensei's
इसका भी तो
situation
विजन
to
छीन
you
लिया
in
गया
a
होगा
little
ना,
more
जैसे ही
detail.
मतलब 3 लोगों के
And
पास
you can
भेजा गया था
decide
जिनका
whether to
विजन मतलब
stay
छीन
or
लिया
to
गया।
leave.
तुमसे हमें
Sensei's
मिला था
name
ना।
is
ओके
Domon,
डोमोन।
a name I'm sure you've
हाँ
already
सुना है
heard.
सुना है।
Though self-taught, he mastered the art of the sword to a high
Oh.
level. He then proceeded to defeat many other prominent
Okay.
sword masters, never
सही
losing a
भाई
single fight.
मतलब हारा नहीं है बंदा
He
आज
once
तक।
said that his goal was to become the best sword master in the world. And so, even while training us, he continued to hone his own art. His fervor truly inspired us, and we trained hard, determined to keep up with him. But then,
Not long ago, Sensei had his vision taken away. He hasn't
देखा
been the
जैसे
same
विजन ले
since.
लिया जाता है ना तो वो
He
बंदा वाला
says the
चेंज हो जाता है।
strangest things over and over, and he refuses to let us train.
भैया हमें
Julia
लगता
and
पता
I have
लगाना पड़ेगा
discussed
कि
it,
होता क्या है
and we
असली
both
में.
think that he's being possessed by an evil spirit. So we've asked the shrine maidens from the Grand Narukami Shrine to perform an
Okay.
exorcism. But if I'm honest, I still have my doubts over whether he'll completely recover.
The Grand Narukami Shrine? What's that?
You haven't
नहीं.
heard of it? It's the largest shrine on
पहाड़ के
Narukami
ऊपर है.
Island. The head shrine
अच्छा.
maiden is reputed to have very
ऐसा
close
सीन है क्या?
ties
चलो
with the
चलो बुलावा
almighty
है
shogun
टाइप का.
herself. Not
जैसे
that
यहाँ
we'd
होता है
have
ना
any
इंडिया में
means
बहुत
of
सारे
involving
पहाड़ों
the
पे
head
रहते हैं
shrine
मंदिर.
maiden, of course.
चलो चलो बुलावा
But
है
even one
माता
of
जी
the
ने बुलाया
ordinary
ऐसा
shrine
टाइप का
maidens from
श्राइन
the
है
Grand
पर में.
Narukami Shrine would have clear power and authority to
और
perform an
वहाँ एक्सोर्सिज्म
exorcism.
चलता है मतलब भूतों को भगाते
So
हैं.
don't worry, Nanako. Sensei is going to be just fine. The exorcism will take place this evening. You're both more than welcome to come and watch if
ठीक
you're
है.
interested.
So, losing your vision can cause possession? Guess we should come back this evening and see for
ठीक है तो हमें
ourselves.
शाम को आना है वापस. ओ मेरा तलवार देखा किसी ने? मेरा तलवार देखो इतना ज्यादा चमक रहा है. ये तलवार अभी देख रहे हो? अरे मेरा तलवार इतना ज्यादा ही नहीं चमक रहा है यार. ये तलवार को क्या हो गया? 3 शॉट ले लेते हैं. मुझे तलवार का वो चाहिए. भाई तलवार को क्या हो गया? नई ग्लिच आ गई है तो.
So you decided to come. It's a
तो
good thing
कैसा
you didn't
पोजीशन
arrive
चालू
any
हो गई?
earlier.
पोजीशन क्या
You
होता
would
है?
have had to witness
एक्सोर्सिज्म.
Sensei one of
सॉरी
his
सॉरी
fits of
एक्सोर्सिज्म
madness.
चालू हो गई.
Just now, when Nanako was attending to him, she heard him whispering a few names to
Okay.
himself. When she asked him who the
तो
people were,
इसका मास्टर की नी का नाम
he
ले रहा
suddenly
था.
looked
मतलब
panic-stricken
दोहरा रहा था बहुत
and
सारे
pushed her
लोगों का
away.
नाम.
It looked like he was in great distress. He was covering his ears and looking frantically around him with bloodshot eyes. All the while, he kept calling those names. Some of them we knew. Others we
तो
didn't
जिनके
recognize.
नाम जानता है वो कौन है?
But they all seemed to be the names of sword masters he had
Okay.
defeated in the past.
जिन्हें
One
जिन्हें
of
इनके
them was
मास्टर ना रहा है वो
Anzai.
उनके नाम रट रहा है.
He used to be a fellow disciple of
Okay, okay,
Sensei's.
okay.
His senior,
Anzai.
in fact. But Sensei defeated him in a duel many years ago. And he has been a
अंजाई
wanderer
नाम का एक
ever
बंदा था
since.
जो इनके मतलब टीचर के साथ
Sensei wouldn't
मतलब
stop
इनका
calling his
सेनपाई
name.
था. इसका मतलब इनके टीचर का सेनपाई था.
Thankfully, the shrine
और
managed
उसने
to subdue
उसका
him.
मतलब सेनपाई को
So the
हरा दिया जिसकी
exorcism
वजह
can
से वो
finally
भाग गया था
continue.
कुछ साल पहले.
The
शर्म
ritual
के
has
मारे
now
ऐसे कुछ बोल
begun.
रहा है.
All we can do is patiently await the result.
Okay.
Here's hoping Sensei will be back to his normal self very soon. Please, excuse me for a moment while I fetch some water. If he wakes up, he is sure to be thirsty.
ये कौन है बे? ए कैसा भाग रहा है? देखो देखो देख देख देख. पकड़ पकड़ सड़क पकड़.
Huh? Who's that sneaking around? Uh-oh. Could they be here to mess up the exorcism? We won't let
वो
them get away
एक्सोर्सिज्म
with
मैच
it.
करने क्यों आएगा
Come on,
भाई? वो
let's
थोड़ी
go
बहुत
after
बंद था.
them.
वो थोड़ी था बहुत. वो कहाँ भाग लिया वो एकदम स्पीड में? ये देखो खड़ा है.
Suspicious
कौन है भाई ये?
How?
क्वेश्चन मार्क इसका नाम. ट्रिपल
How
क्वेश्चन
did you
मार्क.
catch up with me so
भाई हम
quickly?
ट्रैवलर है भाई. भागना हमारा काम है.
Are you sure you're Domon's disciples? You move even quicker than he does.
हम उसके डिसाइपल नहीं है पर बता सकते हैं कि हम ताकतवर
I
जरूर
guess it's
होंगे
been a
उनसे.
few years. Maybe his skills have improved again.
What do you mean?
Excuse me.
ये
We're
जो
the ones
मास्टर है
asking
उसका
questions
स्किल
here.
मतलब बढ़ते रहता है धीरे
First
धीरे.
off, who are you? And what are you doing sneaking around
हाँ
these
बताइए
parts?
बताइए.
You seem like bad news,
You
mister.
seem like bad
Bad
news,
news?
mister.
I'll have you know I trained side by side with Domon back in the day. Long before you
नाम तो
ever
बताइए
showed
सर जी.
up. I don't care to talk about that time anymore. But if you must know, I am Domon's
ओ ये वही सीनियर
senior.
जिसकी बात कर रही थी. नाम क्या था उसका नाम? वहाँ पे वो बात चल रहा था ना
That
जिसका.
means you must be.
ओ अंजा यहाँ यही
Yes,
जिसको हरा दिया था ना.
that's me.
वही है ना ये. वही है ना ये. जिसको हरा दिया था फिर ये भाग गया था.
Because I don't wish to see Domon or anyone else associated with him
वही
ever
बेचारे की
again.
बेइज्जती हो गई थी.
When we were young, we trained under the same sword
हाँ
master,
बताइए तो.
studying Make-Yoshi Sui art together. I had begun training 5 years before him, and everyone looked up to me as a steady and dependable older disciple.
Okay.
Practitioners of Make-Yoshi Sui art seek to achieve stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. So the majority of disciples are indifferent to rank and reward. I was no exception. But Domon was different. The first thing he did when he joined was go straight to our sensei and ask him, with a beaming smile on his face, how to become the best in the world. Sensei scolded him and told him that the art of the sword should not be used for such vain ends. Sensei said that coveting the title of the best sword master, barely days into his training, showed that he had a fickle mind, and that this would impede him from ever mastering the blade. I thought so too at the time, but Domon began making swift progress in his training, and even started catching up with me. Only then did I realize that it was Domon who had long since freed his mind from all agitation. He was consumed by his singular desire to become the best in the world. He sought nothing less than perfection in the art of the sword.
तो इसने मतलब अपने आप को स्वॉर्ड आर्ट में पूरे मिल गया भाई, अपने स्वॉर्ड आर्ट में पूरा तलन हो गया, तल्लीन हो गया.
Sure sounds like he
सुदिन भी क्यों बोलता, मुझे जब आती नहीं थी यार, बेइज्जती होती है मेरी.
don't want to ever see him again.
Because until he arrived, I was convinced that I would succeed our sensei as the master of Make-Yoshi
अच्छा तो जब हारा वो उससे
all the
तो इसकी बेइज्जती लगी ना, क्योंकि वो सबसे पहले इसने सीखा था ना. अच्छा अच्छा, तभी इसकी बेइज्जती हुई. इसे लगा कि मैं सबसे पहले था, मतलब आया था सबसे पहले, सबसे ज्यादा टाइम तक मैं सीख रहा हूँ, फिर भी मैं एक बच्चे से आ गया 5 साल, जो मेरे बाद में उससे हार गया.
But my pride and my status too. I fled the dojo that day and never looked back.
भाग गया था इसीलिए. अच्छा.
Later, I heard that he sparred with Sensei too. Sensei was advanced in years by then, and unfortunately that match used up every last ounce of energy in his body. After that I wanted nothing further to do with him. Deep down though, I still respected his mastery of the blade, and his commitment to the art of the sword.
मतलब स्वॉर्ड मास्टरी और स्वॉर्ड के मतलब ये लेसन्स इसके लिए बहुत कुछ है. स्वॉर्ड आर्ट मतलब ना ये डोमोन के लिए.
My first reaction was to dismiss them as false. How could he, of all people, have lost his mind? His mind was the sharpest of them all. He had practiced Make-Yoshi Sui art to perfection. I decided to quietly come and see if it were true.
इसका माइंड मतलब खराब हो गया, सोचो विजन छीनने के बाद.
Complete astonishment, I heard
भाई
him
इतने
call
ताकतवर माइंड वाले के
my
साथ हो सकता है, सोचो
name. I
भैया.
thought mine was a name
बाकियों
he
के साथ
had
क्या
long
होगा?
since forgotten. So you see, I came here not to cause him any harm. I just wanted to see for myself.
ये बस देखने आया था.
Okay, you've heard my story.
मतलब चिंता हो रही थी एक
You
तरह
should
से.
get back now. The exorcism is probably finishing.
Seems like we got it wrong this time. He wasn't here to mess up the exorcism
सुबह हो गई
at all.
एक्सोर्सिज्म कैसी कैसी.
Still, Paimon's not sure we should bring him back with us. Let's go see how the exorcism's
चलो
coming
भाई.
along.
What? You're saying he isn't
क्या वो
possessed?
possessed नहीं है?
Does that mean he's just lost his mind? But how
मतलब
is
जस्ट
that
पागल हो गया, ऐसा
possible?
बोलना चाहते हो?
No,
वो
no,
possessed
I
नहीं है.
refuse to believe it. Something's clearly wrong.
जैसा ही विजन छीना उसके बाद वो पागल हो गया.
Try not to get
बोलना चाह रहे हैं भाई ये.
agitated.
I am sorry. With what powers I have, I can find no sign of any malignant spirit
Okay, तो
having
ये
possessed
श्राइन मैडम है, ये बोल
Dawn.
रहे हैं कि वो possessed नहीं है.
Spirits may take a myriad of forms in this world, many of which I cannot claim to have witnessed myself. Thus, I dare not rule out possession with complete certainty. And all is certainly not lost, for I received word not long ago that Lady Yai has taken an interest in your sensei's case.
अब ये लेडी आए कौन है?
Lady Yai? Is that the same Lady Yai that I
ये कौन है,
think
मुझे
you
पता ही
mean?
नहीं है.
The head shrine maiden of the Grand
Oh,
Narukami
head shrine maiden है
Shrine.
ना.
That's wonderful news. Then Sensei will be sure to recover.
Correct. Lady Yai is most knowledgeable indeed, and has abundant experience in the exorcism of evil spirits and aversion of great calamities. I am unable to say for certain whether an evil spirit has possessed your sensei, but Lady Yai can give a conclusive verdict.
Excuse me, Miss Inagi, but I must ask, should we prepare a greeting gift for Lady Yai?
That won't be necessary. all that is required of you is your timely arrival at the Grand
अब हमें श्राइन
Narukami
पे जाना है।
Shrine.
अच्छा जी,
Lady
अरे
Yai
बाप रे।
does not like to be kept waiting. I must leave now, but we will meet soon at the shrine. I wish Domon a full and speedy recovery.
Who'd have thought Lady Yai herself would have taken notice of our
अच्छी
sensei's
बात है ना,
case?
ठीक हो जाएगा बंदा।
Do you mean to say that Sensei isn't renowned enough to deserve Lady
अरे
Yai's
यार हर चीज को
attention?
बुरा मतलब
No, that's not what I meant at all. You misunderstand me. I just mean this is Lady Yai, the head shrine maiden. She has direct and close contact with the almighty Shogun herself. Anyway, you should join us too, tomorrow. Given that you've traveled all this way just to meet our sensei, we, the disciples of Meikyo Shisui Art, will do our
I
best
will
to help
gladly
you.
join you.
Sure. After all, everyone seems pretty excited about Lady Yai. We're curious to meet her
देखना है भाई,
too.
हमें भी आओ, ये कौन है?
Who knows? Maybe we'll be able to find out a thing or two about the Raiden children from her.
तो गाइस हम आ चुके हैं नारुकामी श्राइन में। देख सकते हो यार, क्या ये सीन देख रहे हो तुम? बैकग्राउंड देख रहे हो यार, वॉलपेपर बना सकते हो तुम यार इस सीन को। सही में देख रहे हो यार, मजाक भी नहीं कर रहा, इसको सही में वॉलपेपर बना सकते हो यार। इतना अच्छा बनाया भाई, कैसे बनाया यार ये? पता है इन्होंने ना, मियोयो वाले ने सबसे ज़्यादा ना मेहनत ना इस मैप में की है, मैं बता सकता हूँ। मतलब ऐसा नहीं कि दूसरे मैप में मेहनत नहीं की, पर इसको डिटेलिंग देख रही हूँ इस मैप की यार, इतनी प्यारा बना रखा है ना इस मैप को, क्या ही बोलूँ मैं।
Do you think that's
ओह
Lady
ये
Yai?
रेडी है।
Oh, no wonder Junyo is so excited. She has a really
रेडी ये आ
striking
गई
presence.
ये।
Also, is it just Paimon? Or did she look right at us just now? It was probably nothing. It's not like she's ever seen us before.
Keep
ये
away.
इनका मास्टर, अच्छा ये है
Keep
इनका
away
मास्टर।
from me. I gave up the art of the sword. Please, let me go, I beg you.
As you can see, Lady
वैसे
Yai,
रुको 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 रुको,
Domon has persisted in this
किसी ने
state
कान
for
देखा
some
लेडी आई
time
जी का?
now.
ये कान है ना
He
इनका?
appears to see those who
ये
have
पक्का
lost
कान
to
है
him
इसका
in
भाई।
duels past, gathered
ये
all
भी अडेप्टस
around
है क्या?
him to persecute
मतलब
him.
अडेप्टस होता है ना जैसे
Lady
लीवर में,
Yai,
वैसे अडेप्टस
it
की बात
must
कर
be
रहा
a
हूँ।
possession, right? This is nothing like him at all. In the past,
ये
no
फॉक्सी आ
matter
रहा है
what
इसके
came
पास,
his
लेडी आई
way,
के
he would
पास।
always face it with a confident smile.
I'm sorry. It is clear to me that your sensei is not possessed by any evil spirit.
ओके, पॉजिटिव ने ये बोल रहा
Then
है।
does that mean
सिंपली
he...
लॉस्ट हिज माइंड, ऐसे बोलना चाहते हो?
Yes. This is a change in the person himself. Unable to cope with the tremendous pressure he was under, he suffered a spiritual collapse. With his wits impaired, he finally descended into madness. As one who is thrown into the sea, though he fights back desperately against his predicament, it does nothing to prevent his descent into the depths. As for what has triggered this change, I believe it must be the loss of his vision.
विजन छिनने की वजह से
For to be
सकवे में आ
stripped
गया,
of
ऐसा
one's
टाइप का हो गया
vision is
क्या?
to be stripped of one's ambition.
यार
Stripped of his ambition? But Lady Yai, even without his ambition, why should he suffer such a dramatic
हाँ।
change? How does that
मुझे भी जानना है,
explain
ये
his
तो मुझे भी
descent
जानना है।
into madness?
Your school practices Meikyo Shisui art, does it not? Stillness of mind, freedom from all agitation. What a fine notion that would be if any in this world could ever hope to achieve it. There was once one who claimed to be indifferent to rank and reward, and who fled enraged when defeated by his
उसकी बात
junior.
कर रहे हैं वही
And
अंजिल,
then there was an aged
इसका
swordmaster
senpai जो
who was
भाग गया
aggrieved
था।
enough that he crossed blades with a disciple he himself had taught. Then, what of the one who crossed blades with his own sensei and beloved fellow disciple,
अभी इसके बाद
and
चल रही है
defeated
डोमो की
them
बात।
both?
ये दोनों को हरा दिया था ना, सेनपाई और इसका टीचर को
Can
भी।
one truly remain unagitated, of still mind in moments such as these?
Lady Yai, I'm not sure I understand.
The path of the sword master is filled with twists and turns. It is no small undertaking to pursue the position of greatest sword master in the world. It requires one to take their sword firmly in both hands and cut down the hopes and dreams of others.
मतलब बोल रहे हैं कि मतलब ये बोला जा रहा है कि मतलब स्वॉर्ड मास्टर बनना तो आसान है, लेकिन उस पोजीशन को मेंटेन करना बहुत मतलब प्रेशर और ये सब बहुत हार्ड है, ऐसा बोला जा रहा है।
To focus
उस
on the
पोजीशन को
way
मेंटेन
ahead.
करना बहुत हार्ड है, ऐसा बोला
When
जा
that
रहा है।
ambition
स्वॉर्ड मास्टर की
disappeared,
मतलब बेस्ट स्वॉर्ड
he
मास्टर है
began
भाई।
to doubt himself. As he battled his growing anxiety, he slowly descended into the state you see him in now. Much like a certain fatally flawed friend of mine. Poor Sensei. To think he's been suffering so greatly.
I'm sorry.
कितना प्रेशर झेल रहा भाई, प्रेशर
It's
की
all
वजह से
my
गया है
fault.
बंदा इस बार।
Father.
रीजन छीन गया तो अब बोला होगा कि भाई
sorry.
मैं बन नहीं पाऊंगा सबसे
That's
बेस्ट
enough.
स्वॉर्ड में। ये कौन आ गया? अच्छा अंजा आ गया।
Isn't that Onsai? Where did
इसका
he
दोस्त आ गया
come
भाई,
from?
मतलब सेनपाई आ गया
Did he
इसका।
follow us the whole way here?
Ansai, why are there two of you? Is that you or a ghost? You're here for revenge, aren't you? I knew it would come. I never should have.
You're right to assume that my feelings towards you are far from kindly. But I didn't come here to settle a score. It's been so long now that I made peace with it years ago. You did nothing wrong that day. I couldn't face the humiliation. That's why I ran. I don't think most of the people you beat along the way would hold it against you. On the contrary, when you cut our ambitions short, we entrusted them to you.
ये बहुत बड़ी बात बोल दी,
That
इसलिए
they
इसके
might
दोस्त
carry
ने।
you further. Now I know that we can't place our hopes in you any longer, since you've been stripped of your ambitions too. But that is no reason to strip them of theirs. Follow the way of the sword all the way to the highest peak. You taught them that, didn't you?
But what if one day the same thing happens to them? I put everything I had into trying to become the best. But what if it was all a huge mistake right from the start? If there's a chance they'll end up like me one day, I'd rather they stay where they are now than go any further down this path.
Have you asked them what they think?
Sensei, after you rescued me from the hands of the pirates, I told myself I would follow in your footsteps for the rest of my days. I can't know whether I will suffer in my future as you do now. All I know is that here and now, in the present, I wish to continue. I want to keep going until the day that I can stand before everyone with my head held high and announce that I, like my sensei Domon before me, am a master of Meikyo Shisui art.
Nanako's far from the only one. Actually, all of us think that way.
Goodness. Well,
You see? You can place the ambition you once had in their hands. Being stripped of your
यार थोड़ा
ambition
अच्छा
is
है यार,
something
मतलब
that's never
इनका
happened
कहानी
to
अच्छा है
me.
थोड़ा।
So I can't claim to understand it. But I do know what it feels like to have your ambitions crushed. That's what happened on the day that you so effortlessly defeated me. So, just as I once placed my ambitions onto you, it is time for you to release yours into their custody. You are not
अब
in the
बोल रहा है
same
कि अपना
position that I
ambition सब
was.
तो इनके हाथों में सौंप दो।
When I left, I had
अपने
nothing to
स्टूडेंट्स के
my
हाथों में है
name.
ना।
But you have a great number of worthy disciples.
I
भाई बंदा ठीक हो गया ऐसे।
I'm sorry to have made you worry for
Oh,
me
भाई बंदा
and for
ठीक
the
हो
state
गया,
of Meikyo
nice।
Shisui art. I no longer have the resolve to become the best in the world. The emptiness and suffering inside of me will not abate, so I cannot hope to still my mind and be free of agitation. But as your sensei, I shall commit to imparting unto you everything I have learned in my life so far. This is my promise. And I humbly ask Anzai, my senior, to hold me to my word.
You can count on that. I'd be checking in on you occasionally anyway, just to make sure you hadn't lost your mind again. But I am now used to the life of a wanderer. I do not belong in the dojo anymore, so I will simply stop by once in a while to make sure you aren't cutting any corners
Yeah.
with them. Well, don't just stand there staring at me. Say thank you to Lady Yai and then get yourself back
क्यों बोला और
home.
निकल ऐसा बोल रहा है इसका दोस्त। ओके, तो इनका भी कहानी ठीक हो गई।
So even though his ambition was taken away, his disciples can take it over on his
अच्छा।
behalf. Guess that sort of solves this one, huh?
Yes, it seems as a good free solution as we can hope for.
Traveler, a moment, please. Lady Yai has
Yeah.
some words for you.
So, my intuition
इसकी
was
आवाज बहुत
correct.
स्लीपी से ऐसा लगता है कि मतलब
The
सो के
wind
बात
that
कर रही है
blows
पर
from afar carries
थोड़ा सा
fresh
डीप है ना
life
आवाज,
to
जॉन्गली
these
टाइप का थोड़ा सा
shores.
आवाज।
For us to meet now is
थोड़ा सा एकदम
premature.
मैच्योर, एकदम मतलब
Nevertheless,
नॉलेजेबल
you
ऐसा
set
टाइप का
foot on
आवाज है,
these islands at
मतलब एक्सेंट
precisely the right
बोलने
moment.
का तरीका होता है एक, कि मतलब जो एकदम नॉलेजेबल या मतलब बहुत इंटेलिजेंट होता है एकदम, आवाज उनकी भारी होता है एकदम स्लो और अच्छे अलग तरह से बोलते हैं
I
वैसे
have high hopes for you, child. Don't disappoint me.
हैं।
Ooh, Lady Ai seems to have taken a real
पता नहीं
interest
भाई
in you. She seems super mysterious. Paimon's
बाद
so
में स्टोरी
curious
आएगा
what
भाई,
she
मुझे
really
लगता है जहाँ
meant by
तक,
all that.
क्योंकि ये नॉर्मल ह्यूमन तो नहीं है, काम देख के मैं बता सकता हूँ, जैसे कि लीविया में होते थे ना अडेप्टर्स, उसी तरह के यहाँ पे भी होंगे कुछ, पक्का देखना। तो गाइस आज की वीडियो के लिए सिर्फ इतना ही। मुझे पता है ये वीडियो बहुत ही लंबी हो गई है, एक्चुअली बहुत ही लंबी हो गई है, कम से कम 1 या 2 घंटा, 1.5 घंटा तो ही गया होगा मेरे ख्याल से। तो गाइस ये वीडियो आपको अच्छी लगी होगी तो लाइक कर देना, चैनल में नए हो तो सब्सक्राइब कर देना। तब तक के लिए जाओ मजे करो यार।